All right, good morning. I know we doubled up on this lesson a few days back. I think we really got to break it apart and try it one more time. Get ready for lesson 7. We're talking about writing and comparing whole numbers through hundred thousands and the ordinal numbers. So start off with a little bit of review. When you're naming numbers, you only say the word and if there's a decimal point. I know a lot of people out there in everyday life, they're going to say 186. But truly, in math, when you're doing your assignments, this is pronounced 186, not 186. Only say and if there's a decimal point. And sometimes numbers are larger than 3 digits. We need to understand the place value system in order to name those numbers. So the first 3 digits fall under a group that I call the no-name group. The ones, the tens, and the hundreds. Because we don't say a name after we name these numbers. The next group, though, instead of ones, tens, and hundreds, is 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000, making up the thousand group. When you say these 3 numbers, you have to say the word thousand after it. So if I was going to pronounce this number, I'd start off reading the first 2 on the side of the comma, 19, then say the thousand group. So 19,216. So the rule is always look at each group at a time. The thousand group first, then whatever's in the no-name group. First say the name of the number, then say the name of the group, if there is one. And the last little rule I put in is if there's a comma after the word, put in a comma after the number and vice versa. So if you're writing digits, if there's a comma after the number, put in a comma after the word. So again, if we were reading this number here, I'd say the name of the number, 206,319. Because I don't say a group name for the no-name group. 206,319. So we're going to see some problems like this today where it's going to ask us to start off using words to name this. And it's always a good idea to start off by writing in the comma. So start off in the back. You have a comma after every 3 digits. 1, 2, 3. So my comma's gonna go here. So I have 1, 2, 3, comma, then 4, 5, 6. So let's start off. And if you need to set it up in a handy dandy place value chart, go ahead and do that. I just have 6 lines. Every 3 spaces I have a comma. To the left, I have the word thousand. To the right, I have the word no name. Name the number, name the group. So, to start off with, how do you say the name of this number? 1, 2, 3. Well, I'd pronounce that 123, right? 123 what? 123,000. So let's go ahead and go and say 123,000. And if there's a comma after the number, you need a comma after the word. Then what do we have? 4, 5, 6. Well, how do you pronounce 4, 5, 6? That's 456. And I don't have to say a group name here because he's in the no-name group. So let's go ahead and keep that writing right after the comma. For a grand total using words, this is 123,456. Let's try another one just like that. Use words to name this. We have 86030 And I always think it's a good idea start by writing in the comma. So every 3 digits from the back, 1, 2, 3, comma. So I have an 8 and a 6. If you need to write out your 6 little lines in a place value chart, you can go ahead and do that. So I have 8, 6, comma, 0, 3, 0. Again, we're going to look at just 3 digits at a time in each group. Name the number, then name the group. So 86, that's 86. The name of the group is thousand, so I'm going to start off 86,000. So I have 86,000. If there's a comma after the number, I need a comma after the word. Let's go take a look at the next group name. I have 030. What's the name of the number? Well, that would just be 30, right? Because I don't have any hundreds. You would name it just 30. And do I have to say a group name? Nope, he is in the no-name group, so I'm just going to type in 30. So using words to name 86, 030, 86,000, 30. Okay, let's try the same thing, only in a slightly different direction. Now we're going to use digits to name. Remember, digits just mean numbers. Here I have 250,000, there's my comma, 96. And remember, 1,000 is my group word, so really, I just have to go and start off digits for 250. 1,000 is the group name telling you where to put 250, right? So I want 250 written in the 1,000 group. I don't think there's a 5th grader out there who doesn't know 250 is written as 250, right? Then you put in the comma. If there's a comma after the word, there's a comma after the number. If there's a comma after the number, you put in a comma after the word. Then I need 96. Now, I already started writing numbers here in my 1,000 group, so I must have a digit in all 3 of my no-name places. Well, we should know that 96 means 9 tens, and it's also going to mean that you have 6 ones. So I need a digit over here. How many hundreds are there in 96? There are 0. But because I started writing numbers, every single place must have a digit in it. So don't forget, if you don't have that number represented, you have to write in a 0. 250, 096. 250,096. Let's try it again. We're going to use digits to name this time. 16,805. And remember, 1,000 is a group name. So I'm going to start off just needing to write 16 in the 1,000 group. Well, 16, that means 110,000 and 6 1,000s, right? 16,000. Now let's go over and try the 805. 805, I would have 8 hundreds, no tens in 805, but I would need 5 ones for 805, right? So, using digits, I would have 16, 805. 16,805. So we kind of talked about this the other day as well. When you are comparing, just start each place value and compare. Every teacher has been telling you this for years. The crocodile's mouth opens up to the bigger number, or the Pac-Man opens up to the bigger number. The only thing I'm going to point out is sometimes kids just barely look and they'll see some big numbers at the end. Go every place value at a time. Here in the thousands, we have 323. Here we have 323 in the thousands. So right now it's a tie. Let's try this one in the hundreds. Here I have a 1. Here I have a 3. The contest is over. 199 is less than 312. So 323,199 is certainly less than 323,312. So again, something kind of new. Numbers that are used to name position or order are called ordinal numbers. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, etc., etc. And there's a chart on page 42. So you're going to be asked some questions like this. I highly recommend drawing out a picture to help you think, because ordinal numbers can be just a little bit tricky sometimes until you catch on. Tom was the 4th person in a line of 10 people. How many people were in front of Tom? Well, here's the front of the line, right? Here's first, this guy's second, this guy's third, and so here is Tom. They're starting off wanting to know how many people were in front of Tom if he was 4th in line. How many people were in front of Tom? 1, 2, 3 people are in front of Tom if he's 4th in line. How many people were behind Tom? Again, we're not counting Tom. We just want to know how many people were behind Tom. So just count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many people were behind Tom? 6. It's a piece of cake if you draw yourself the picture on your scratch paper. Every so often, though, you can run into a question like this, and I've had students get awfully confused before, where it says, Bill was the 9th person in line. How many people were in front of Bill? And I have had students say, you don't know how many people are in the line. If we're counting out how many people are in front of Bill, I don't think it really matters. So here's Bill right now. How many people are in front? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people are in front of him. Whether there is 10 people in that line, if there was 20 people in that line and Bill was still 9th, he'd still have 8 people in front of him. Okay, last thing, I want to talk about these types of problems because we're still having some people struggling with them, and they're not going away for a while. Anytime it goes and asks us to write a rule, when they are asking us to write a rule, what they are talking about is either add by blank, or subtract by blank, or multiply by blank, or divide by blank. If it's asking you to state a rule, it's either add, subtract, multiply, or divide. And you got to figure out what way the numbers are going. In this case, they're asking us to write a rule that describes how to find the number of dollars. So I want to find the dollars. I'm starting at dimes and going to dollars. So I'm starting with 10 and ending up with 1. Or I'm starting with 20 dimes and ending up with $2. Or starting with 30 dimes and getting $3. So what do you think that is? Are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? Hopefully you know this rule is starting off. We're dividing. Dividing by what? If you caught it, the rule would be divide by 10. I've had some people write in, you're counting up by, and so far I've been letting it go. But I'm hoping after today you are seeing this. If they're asking us to name a rule, it starts with one of the 4 operations. So then I was on the last problem. After you figure out that rule, they're going to ask you a problem like this. $8 represents how many dimes? Well, we just got done saying that my rule was divide by 10. So then once you have the rule figured out, usually the last problem of the day is going to ask you to apply it. Something like 80 dimes represents how many dollars? Well, we already found out that the rule this time was divide by 10. So if you have 80 dimes, you could go and divide by 10. But maybe you're thinking, but Mr. Hines, I really don't get dividing too much. 80 divided by 10, I don't know if I can remember all that from last year. Then can you take the problem in reverse with the opposite sign, right? Can you think of it as what times 10 equals 80? Or the last step you could do, count up by tens, I guess, if you really had to, and find out how many would that be? 80 dimes represents $8, right? So that, my friends, is the end. You are definitely going to want a scratch piece of paper and a pencil for the Socrative quiz, and good luck.
Well, that's all, folks.
That's my line.
Step aside, babe. Let a star do this. That's all!
That's all, folks.
Can I go home now?